Okay, this video is part 2 of correlation and regression. We're picking back up with the slide that says recall house prices. However, before we jump into this slide, I want everyone to take out their calculator, and we need to set your calculator up so that it will give us R. R, you will recall, is the correlation coefficient. And in the last video we talked about different properties of the correlation coefficient. I showed you a formula that I told you we wouldn't be using, but I have not shown you how to use the calculator to find the correlation coefficient. Now, the calculator has to have a diagnostic turned on, or it will not find R for you when you perform the function. So let's turn the diagnostic on. Once you do this, you shouldn't have to do it again. Okay, so to turn it on, get your calculator, and you're going to hit second 0, and then the secondary function is catalog. That's where you're going to. So second 0. And then you're going to scroll down until you see the words diagnostic on. So just keep hitting the down arrow until you get there. Alright, so diagnostic on. There's also a diagnostic off. You want the little arrow to be next to diagnostic on. Hit enter. It'll say diagnostic on your screen. Hit enter one more time. Now it says done. Okay, once you do that, we are all set. So if you need to rewind the video and watch that again, go ahead. But otherwise, if you were able to keep up with me right there, your calculator's set and ready to go, and you shouldn't have to do this again. Okay. So going back to our current slide. Okay. So recall house prices. These are the same numbers that we had in the original example early in the PowerPoint, but in the previous video that we graphed as a scatter plot. You can see that the R has been calculated. Now let me show you how we can get that on the calculator. Now I'm going to have the same steps are going to be on a few slides later, but I'm going to go ahead and show you now. So to calculate R, you first want to make sure you have all your data in the table. So we'll go to Stat, Enter, and you'll see in L1 and L2 I still have my data listed. Now to find R, we're going to go to Stat, and we're going to arrow right to Calc, and we are going to choose number 4, Len Reg, AX plus B. So I'm just going to hit the number 4. Now your X list should correspond to where your X's are listed. Mine are in L1. If this was different, then you should change it. My Y list is in L2. You can leave everything else blank and just go to calculate. Now you've got Y equals AX plus B. That should sound similar to the slope-intercept form. You have an A and a B. This will make more sense later in a few slides. You have an R squared, and then at the very bottom, you have R. If your calculator only shows Y equals AX plus B, A, and B, and you don't see these bottom two numbers, the R squared and the R, then go back to catalog and turn your diagnostic on. Alright, so coming back here, you can see that the R is 0.90059177526. We rounded it out to 4 decimal places. Okay, and that's how you find the R. So Stat, arrow right to Calc, choose 4, put in your X and your Y list. Now, if you've got an 83, you would just type in L1, comma L2. Because it doesn't give you the prompts, and enter, but you would get the same numbers. Okay? Okay, so since r is close to 1, 0.9006 is very close to 1, it means that there's a strong positive linear correlation. So remember, the closer it is to 1, the stronger the positive linear correlation is. The closer it is to -1, the stronger the negative linear correlation. So how can we find the equation that shows that linear relationship? So all we can see right now is how strong the relationship is, but we don't have an equation that's going to show the trend that those points are making. And when I say trend, I mean if you'll recall, the points, when they're correlated, tend to cluster around an imaginary line. And so what equation defines that imaginary line? That's what we need to figure out how to find. So this line, this imaginary line that the points cluster around, is called the least squares regression line. And we're going to find the equation for it. We can call it regression equation for short. You may also see it called line of best fit. There is a process to it. There's formulas and different things that you use to find this. However, we will be using the calculator again. So how to find the least squares regression line? Basically, I've already shown you how to do it. It's the same way that you find R. First, you enter the data into the list. You go to Stat, choose Edit, put your X's in one list, your Y's in another. Keep track of where you put each one. Once you've entered the data, you hit Stat, you arrow right to Calc. Choose number 4, linreg, ax plus b. You can also choose number 8, linreg a plus bx, but I like to choose number 4 because it puts it in slope-intercept form, which is what we're used to dealing with. So I always choose 4. Then once you do that, you'll recall it gave us an A and a B. So you're going to fill the A and the B into the equation. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But basically what it's giving you is it's giving you the slope. So think AX plus B is MX plus B. It gives you the slope and it gives you the y-intercept. And you fill that into the equation. Slope is the rate of change. The y-intercept is B. The explanatory variable, if you see anything talking about that, explanatory variable is X, and the outcome or response variable is Y. We also talked about earlier in a different video, we talked about in the linear equations video, if you watched that, we talked about how X was the independent variable and the Y was the dependent variable. So caution. From algebra, we learned the equation of the line is y equals mx plus b. We have a little bit of a difference. It's y equals ax plus b, but it's the same thing. Now, if you choose the number 8, stat calc number 8, you will get it in this format, y equals a plus bx. If you choose that one, then A is not the slope like it would be here. A is the y-intercept and B would be the slope. So like I said, I usually choose not to use number 8 under calc. When I hit stat calc, I usually don't use number 8, I usually use number 4 so that this is not an issue. Okay, so let me pull up the calculator. You can see the numbers here. We got this a little bit earlier, but I just want to go back over again with you how you do that in the calculator. So we go to Stat, turn it on first, Stat, Calc, choose number 4. Make sure your lists are in, and again, if it's an 83, just type in L1, which is second 1, comma, second 2, enter. That's if you don't have these prompts. If it just says linreg ax plus b and nothing else on your screen, type in L1, comma, L2. For the rest of us, we'll put in L1, L2, if that's where our data is, and then we'll go to calculate. Boom, there we have it. Now, look to the right of this calculator screen. You see we have the same thing written here, and you'll see we have the y equals x plus b equation. They give us a, they give us b. We fill in the a, 0.099x, plus b, which is 160.194. So you keep the y and the x, and you fill in the a and the b. It would be like if I gave you the slope and the y-intercept, which is basically what I'm giving you, or what you're getting here from the calculator. You're getting the slope and the y-intercept, and you're writing the equation of a line based off of that. So you're just filling in the m and the b, or in this case, the a and the b. All right. So here is example 2. Pause the video and see if you can find the regression equation. Okay, so hopefully you paused the video and you attempted this. It says a random sample of 11 statistics students produced the following data, where X is the third exam score out of 80 and Y is the final exam score out of 200. So X is the third exam, Y is the final exam. These are not out of 100, they're out of 80 and out of 200. And basically you're going to see if there's any kind of correlation between how you do on the third exam and how you do on the final exam. Okay, so I'm going to go out of this so that I can open the calculator. If I go to Stat, Enter, notice I still have L1 and L2 as the house problem, but if I go over to L3 and L4, you can see I've entered the data. L3, L4. So I'm going to find the equation, Stat. I'm going to arrow right to Calc. I'm going to choose number 4. Now my list is no longer L1 and L2, it's L3 and L4. So I'm going to hit L3 and L4, second 4. I'm going to go to Calculate. And here we have it. We have 5.05 for the A, and B is negative 198.01. R is 0.3897, so what do you think that means? Well, it's closer to 0 than it is to 1, which means it's probably got a weak correlation. So let's write out this equation. Oops. So you can see where I have filled in the 5.05 for the A and the negative 198.012 for the B. So y equals 5.05x plus negative 198.012. You can also write it this way: y equals 5.05x minus 198.012. The difference here is instead of saying plus a negative, we're writing just a minus sign. Rounding, I would say round to at least 2 to 3 decimals like I did here. If you're doing the homework, definitely pay attention to how it asks you to give the answer, but on a test, if I don't specify 2 or 3 decimal places is fine. And it looks like that's the last question. So I'm going to end the video here, and email me if you have questions.